What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I see you guys are already filing in for the comments. Please do us a favor for this Truth Will Set You Free episode number 54. Thank you for joining us, first of all. Do us some help. Do us some service and go ahead and share this episode out there. Hit the share button. Hit the like button. I already see the numbers jumping up. That's a good start. Let's go, people. We're on Facebook. We are also on YouTube. Also, the best way to trick the algorithm is, sharing is definitely one of the biggest things that help. But please give us a thumbs up or a heart if you are on the YouTubes. Just go ahead and swipe those comments off to the side. If you swipe the comments off to the side, you'll see the like or the hearts or whatever they have on that. And that helps us out a lot. Putting a comment as well. Huge help to us. So right now, everybody in the comment box, let me know where you're calling in from. We will get started in under a minute. I see people from Minnesota, Brent's in Minnesota. We got Gina in Virginia, Jessica in Orlando, Florida, Tabitha Nelson, just waving. She's from the place of love. Nikki's from Ohio. And of course, we've got, let's see, I think we just lost somebody. All right, we've got Barbara, Rose, Pam, Tabitha, all these people. Excellent. Let's go ahead and get the show started, guys. Make sure you're hitting that like button. We've got almost 100 people watching and not enough likes and hearts. So do that for me on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony Russo from #BetheChange for another episode of Truth Will Set You Free. We got a whole bunch of comments. I see it all out there. Like and share this out, please. We've got some fun stuff. I love people are asking where they're from in the comment box. That's great. Plano, Texas in the house, just up the street. Do us some more favors. Keep sharing. Keep hitting that like button. Rhonda Stremo, what's going on? I see you guys all in the comment box. So, we're going to be talking about some great stuff in this. We are going to be talking about the vid a little bit. CDC guidance is literally admitting things as we go of the issues that are happening with the Fauci ouchie. Yet at the same time, it's okay. It's still better. It's still better than the alternative. Explain to me why it's better than the alternative. We are also going to touch on the Project Veritas reporter. Joe Biden clips at G7. I totally forgot the backstage group when we were talking. We are also going to play a clip from Jon Stewart, comedian, which is hilarious to me that now this is being said a year after we were being banned on Facebook for trying to be just as funny. Dylan, what's going on, brother? I see you out there. All right. And then we, of course, have Chrissy Teigen's apology. I want the team to chat. I want the team to let me know whether or not that apology suffices or where does cancel culture end. And also in the very beginning of this episode, I'm going to bring everybody up. We're actually waiting for Suni to re-upload her computer. It crashed. She's going to try to log back on as we speak. But we're going to be talking to Michelle Hollis. You guys remember her from a couple weeks ago. You probably saw the discussion a little bit about that conversation and how that unraveled. We don't know how, and we're going to ask her. She's here today to kind of talk about that. Besides that, that's what we got. As a reminder, as always, guys, I ask you guys, podcast is huge. All of our last podcasts are up. Last week is up. Concert Avengers is up. All of the different things are up. So the podcast is the best way to support us for free. #BetheChange.com/podcast. Also, if you can see, as you might see some of the conversations that have been going on with all the crew, we also have our store, and I have the In America, We Can Agree to Disagree sweater. So you can actually find that at this location right here. I put it on the bottom. #BetheChange.com/shop. And tomorrow night, we will have Concert Avengers. Let's see. Is there anything else? No, I don't have a Change Makers this week. We'll get back to that. And if you want to be a supporter of us, go to patreon.com/BeTheChange USA. Again, that's patreon.com/BeTheChange USA. You get hooked up with some Monday motivation. We're doing some more stuff with that from yours truly. And if we ever have time to do more, we'll do that as well. It's Steve. You sandbagging son of a biscuit. Thank you for the support. Always appreciated right there. Thank you guys. All right, it's time to bring everybody up. Let's see who we got. We've got Casey in the house. What's going on, Kay?
Not much, man. Excited to have a good conversation.
His best friends call him Special K. He's like a drug. That's what his wife said.
Something like that.
For this, I have not heard we got updates on Cash and the Hateful Cards. We have not gotten I've not been able to listen to the Julie Kelly episode from tonight, but it's been all over. And I will tell you currently, if you want the honest to God truth, they are on 24/7 lockdown without hot water right now because we're assuming what was on Mark Levin's show. That's the word. We don't really know, though. That's all we got. So that's the info. And we have a new guest on the show, and then we'll go to Michelle. By the way, Casey, do we have any updates on Suni's computer?
It's coming back up, so she'll be with us in a minute. Speaking
of coming up, we've got a Russo with a little bit low. When I go high, he goes low. It's because his last name's Low Russo. Yes, this is Kevin LaRusso, ladies and gentlemen, from Liberty Revolt. Go ahead and give everybody a rundown who you are.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Kevin. I live here in Colorado, beautiful, wonderful Colorado, currently a student going through the indoctrination chamber over at Colorado State. Former military, I served in the Army for 6 years, got stationed here and fell in love with it. And then, went off to college and realized that while they try to tell us that the only fights that are, we need to be paying attention on are overseas, I realized that there's a big one going on here at home and decided that, I would step into this political arena for reasons still don't really understand. But yeah, no. I'm just out here trying to have these conversations that seem to be getting pushed to the side.
Love it, Kevin. So you just said you're in college, but you obviously serve for our country. How old are you?
I'm actually 27 right now.
Yeah,
going on 28. But
you were an old ass student, so I had to make sure I clarify. I mean, unless you're a doctor, which I don't think that is. So.
No, going to law school eventually, but no, as of right now, I'm just the old man in the classroom. That's kind of a little bit too intimidating, I guess, but having fun with it while I can.
You got a fan about the beard. It sounds like Lindsay wants to get weird with the beard. All right, let's go ahead and bring up Michelle. Hopefully, we'll get Suni on here soon. Dylan just said old ass something. That's funny. All right, you guys remember Michelle. If you did not watch that episode, before we get into it, because again, I want Suni to make sure that she is back for that conversation. I'm going to bring Michelle up. Michelle, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the screen. Hi, Michelle. Go ahead and introduce yourself. If people don't know who you are, go ahead and hit that unmute button for me as well.
That would help. Thank you so much, Anthony. Much love to you. As always, has never changed. This is Michelle with Vision for the Soul and Vision Board Music. And I was here a couple weeks ago just having a conversation about how the state of things and our relationship in particular. And the conversation just continues as they do. And thank you for your service, Kevin. And hello, Casey. And we'll wait for Suni.
Yeah, we'll wait for Suni. We'll let's see what stuff can we knock out super quick, because I know Michelle's got to get going. So we want to get this done as soon as Suni is back. We will cover that, because again, I think that's a conversation to be had between Suni, Michelle, and I, and then we can move forward on that. Oh man, I don't want to bring up the Joe Biden clips at G7 because that's got a lot of humor attached to it and probably some time. Let's talk. You know what? We'll talk, because I know Suni isn't a fan always of talking about the vid, so we can talk about CDC guidance. So they're now admitting that myocarditis, whatever, is a side effect of the jab to younger people, and they actually say it on their page in a very brave way. It's pretty interesting that they're saying it this way, yet essentially not allowing people to have the choice, because of course they're not making sure to put this out there. But the comment was, the way that it's explained is, CDC monitoring reports of myocarditis and pericarditis. CDC has received increased reports of myocarditis and pericarditis in adolescents. This is on the CDC. This has got nothing to do with VAERS, to be very, very clear. This is on the CDC. So the known and potential benefits of COVID-19 V word, the known and potential benefits of the V word for COVID-19 outweigh the known and potential risks, including the possible risk of myocarditis and pericarditis. We continue to recommend the COVID-19 V word for individuals 12 years and up. There's people, I'm literally getting images and images of people that are currently getting very ill or dying. You've got a professional soccer player that there's rumors whether or not Suni I see, whether or not he took the Fauci ouch, the jab. There's one on that same team that 100% confirmed that he took it, and he's got a like deadly case of tonsillitis. These are young people and also was tested positive for COVID. I'm sorry, it's gotten to the point where I say, yes, it's your choice. If you believe you should take it, I'm going to tell you right now, you are an experiment. You are an experiment if you are taking this V word. Anyways, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show. Suni, introduce yourself.
Hi.
Oh my God, that feels weird. You didn't have to unmute yourself. Are you feeling okay?
You're funny.
All right, so
guys.
Suni's, what happened? Your computer crashed? Is that what happened?
My computer totally crashed, but I'm here.
The computer must be a Democrat. Just kidding.
I think so.
Yeah, it did. All right, so we introduced Michelle to everybody. Suni, obviously, we had this conversation. I'm going to give Michelle the floor to explain what the video was about. For those of you that haven't seen it, you could probably see it on Suni's page. You could see it on Michelle's page, whatever that might be, and she can explain it. And I do want to give the preface that there was 40-something minutes and only 13 minutes came up of it. Unfortunately, the 13 minutes was kind of all about her experience on here, and I was not tagged in it. I accidentally stumbled on it, and you looked upset in it. So I was like, I'm going to watch this video. And then I did not realize that the bulk of that was essentially about your experience on here. So go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. Again, thank you for having me on the show. Want to make it clear that the reason that I came on the show were basically the same things that I was expressing in the video. But basically, what that I was doing, or what I was doing, was sharing the emotions that came up and that come up often in this conversation. And it's really not specialized to the conversation I had with you all. This is the conversation that comes up anytime there's a difference of view or perspective. And so as I was sharing what has been coming up for me, that was just my honest experience at that moment. And I know that this is a conversation, and these are emotions and experiences that come up for a lot of people during having this conversation. I feel that in the beginning of the video, I was talking more about the talking points than I was ever attacking your character. I'm not about attacking character, because I believe that there's just a difference in perspective that does make an impact in the way that we try to figure out how to resolve and come together in unity. And it would be a lie to not express that. And that's why I shared the video, because I know that a lot of people just are avoiding these conversations and these emotions. And that's not the answer either, in my humble opinion. So that is why I shared that video, because I was sharing my personal experience. And that's just the honest to goodness truth. That's what came up for me, and that's what I was sharing.
Okay, so the video that you shared to me was very odd, because the day before this, you wrote a very kind Facebook post tagging me, saying it's these kind of conversations that we have to have. I was very, happy to be on the show. I learned things on the show, all these different things.
All these things are true.
And then less than 24 hours, you went and made a video where you're crying, talking about almost this victimhood that you went through by being on the show, and that you felt as though I took advantage of you for not telling you speaking points, which we just talked about race in America.
That's not true.
It's true. It's anybody that watched it can say that. There was 9 out of the 13 minutes of that video that was about me. You also said in one point, you said in there that my platform, and this is as close to the quote as possible, and Suni can vouch for this. You said that his platform is targeted to paint a bad picture of the Black race.
I'll tell you, I didn't exactly say that, but what I said was that the amplification of the situations that you bring to the show when it comes to and this was just my experience, okay? The amplification of the situations when we're talking about like the Breonna Taylors, the certain people, I don't want to get deep into that, but it always appears from my experience that the end result, and I asked you guys this directly, it appears as if the end result is the person deserved that the proof or the information that comes up is that the person was not, that there was no consideration of the inhumanity of the way that the situation unfolded and resulted in their death. Like that just is really how I experienced that question. And I even asked you guys, I said, hey, is there ever a time have you ever found a time when you can sit back and say, hey, you know what, that person, they really went about things the wrong way. And y'all's answer was, they're always doing something wrong. They're always going against the police. That was what I experienced from that answer.
Suni,
and
go
I
ahead.
and so was there a different interpretation?
Well, that's a lie. That's a lie.
How is that a lie?
You're not being honest because you're not saying the truth. We have never said that every single interaction is because they were doing something wrong. Like, that's not what we said.
I'm talking about the question that I asked.
You have to allow somebody to finish. I allowed you to talk. I didn't say anything while you spoke.
Let's talk real quick.
You're not telling the truth, period, point blank. Okay?
I have no reason to lie.
You made a video, and I watched the entire thing. You made a video. You specifically pinpointed Russo. You said that he uses his platform to villainize Black people, which is a total lie. You then tried to compare Jewish plight to your plight as a Black person in 2021 and say, why can't you have sympathy for me? It's a lie.
I mean, if that's how
you
you
attacked him, period, point blank. You went on your platform. You didn't tag him in the video. You didn't even make him aware of the video. And you said things that could potentially harm the way he feeds his family. This is a platform.
And that's exactly
this is a place where people come to get the news, to hear the truth, to hear both sides. And for you to paint a picture that he villainizes Black people is BS, man. This is my actual friend. I love Russo. And what I saw, I was thoroughly disgusted. Just disgusted because when you were on here, we were nothing but respectful to you. There were things that you had no clue about, which you openly admitted.
Yeah.
So for you to go and make a video and act like a total victim and act like we just showed no care towards Black people. And you didn't even mention that there was a Black woman on the cast. You solely talked about him, which was odd to me as well. But the point is, you're calling Russo your friend and you went and made a video that was defamation because you didn't say anything factual.
If that's how you feel about that,
no, it's what it is. I don't dwell in feeling. That's one thing that everybody knows about me.
I am allowed to express myself.
So actually, this is where I'm going to talk. So you are allowed to express yourself. At the same time, what you did, if there was any following that you have that actually knows me, which I saw a couple people like it because I'm sure they saw that you were in emotion and didn't actually watch it. And people that I know like that, if they would have watched through that, it paints a very ridiculous picture of me. And and what I found interesting is when we discussed it with you in those comments and was brought up, and I'm happy that you wanted to come back on and have another show. I found it very interesting that after the perception of what was said on the post, you still chose to keep it up because ultimately what that was an attack on character. That was an attack on my business. You can't shake your head. That's the truth. When you say to a white person,
I know I was not trying to attack your character.
Okay, so then it's the outcome.
Feel about it.
We're in a results-based world, and
great.
If anybody were to watch that show and not know anything about me, they would assume that BetheChange USA is based on race baiting, or it's based on, I guess, racism. It's based on painting a picture that all Black people are criminals. And I'm going to tell you exactly the point where you're saying that we said that it's not, that every time it's not deserved. we were using the instance of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor specifically. And in that moment, we said, no, they didn't deserve to die. It's unfortunate, but why are we raising on a pedestal a man that was a drug addict, and Breonna Taylor was involved with a drug user? We simply said, in these cases, nobody deserves to die, but it's an unfortunate circumstance. I posted something very soon after that said along the lines of, and I'm going to ask you this question, Michelle, because I want to ask you a question. If somebody dies from lung cancer and they're a smoker, do they deserve to die? Do they deserve to die?
I understand where you're coming from on that. They've made a choice, so they have raised the odds in their favor. I heard that, exactly. And I agree with that.
So that's the exact thing. So if you are committing a crime.
But that's not what I asked you. I asked you all specifically about, is there ever a case? And that is the response you gave me. So I was going on the response of the question that I asked.
Okay. So we were being very specific to the cases. So
I didn't ask about a specific case. Now I can only go off the information that was responded with.
So we're talking about specific cases, and you asked that question, and we specifically answer to those cases, which would then say.
But that's not my.
Why do you continue to talk when people are talking? Like we can't get a full understanding of what each other is saying if we don't listen.
I understand.
You asked a question, we gave an answer. Everybody on this panel knows that Black people don't deserve to die. Neither does a white person. The fact that we all have to say that is ridiculous, because it's human nature to know that people don't deserve to die. But what you did was paint a totally different picture of what you came on here for. Nobody set you up. Nobody painted a bad picture of Black folks. I'm Black. I would never be on a show where what you described happened. And I think if Russo is your friend, like you say he is, you would offer him an apology. You know what? I did not mean to do that. And I'm sincerely sorry, but all you're doing is trying to justify your wrong. What you did was wrong. That the 13 minutes that I watched, and I watched all of them, but when you specifically started to target Russo, it was wrong. That's your friend. It's wrong. And I'm not bullying you. I'm just telling you, I'm a straight shooter, man. I was disgusted when I watched that. And
there was one other part of, the thing. Your video also incited more hate. So there was comments in the box where one of the people that you said, I believe his name was Rhea, he used a comment essentially saying, F cops, especially the bad ones. Okay, so I engaged with this person, and you gave them a pass for saying that because you don't understand there's a rapper that died in the community in Cincinnati at the hands of a police officer. So essentially, you qualified something that nobody had any information on and allowed somebody to say, not F bad police. He actually said, F police, especially the bad ones, meaning fuck them all. That's essentially what he said. That's what happened on your post. And I want to ask and you stuck up for him against me when I was trying to have a reasonable conversation, which I found fascinating. But I want to ask what happened in those 24 hours between the kind post that you gave me when you were being nice. And literally my mom read the words that you said, because I was like, maybe we can have a middle ground. Maybe we can create a change. And you were incredibly nice. You were thankful. And then less than 24 hours later, there was that. I'm going to ask, is this what happened? I'm going to just nod your head if this is what happened. If not, tell me. You shared that. So then more of the people that you know probably watched it. When the people that you know watched it, they then said, how did you do such a disservice to us and didn't have your information, didn't have it? So therefore, again, and you also made it seem like I asked you to be on the show. You asked to be on the show, and I said, absolutely. That sounds great. So it's not like I begged you to come on and then attacked you. I said, we are going to talk about the post that I have, and then we are going to have a conversation based on that. So to not be equipped with basic knowledge of the stuff that you wanted to talk about, don't paint me as the issue. That would painting yourself as the victim. So I want to know what happened in those 24 hours.
Actually, I talked to nobody. So it had nothing to do with any outside influence.
So then what is the change? What is the change?
This is the thing. It's not a black and white issue. I am grateful that I came on your show. I did learn a lot. I never said different. there are certain parts of the conversation that kept bringing stuff up for me, and I was addressing those. And I was saying, I'm not trying to paint Anthony in a bad picture, in a bad light, but these are the conversations. This is what I was thinking with the conversation. But what I can acknowledge after hearing you all speak today and you bringing me on my show is that particular thing did not get across.
Absolutely not.
And so, and I tagged you and I showed you the rest of the videos, and I think I talked more through and it was working through my thought process. My point in putting that up is that these are true conflicting emotions and thought processes that come up for people. You know, it's not.
So none of those other videos posted. You had to share it underneath. The video that posted was a direct attack on me. There's no other way to look at it. That's black and white.
That was not my purpose for it.
I never said it was your intention, but fact is, if you're talking out of two sides of your mouth, if I'm going to be like, dude, Ted's a good dude, man, but I hope he fucking dies. Like that literally, I never said you did. I'm saying it's saying two different things, and what you're not understanding, and no matter how much that in text, we essentially told you to take responsibility for it, you're still saying my victim mentality is enough to where it was worth it. I was trying to have a conversation. It wasn't about you. My name was in your mouth enough, and my company was in your mouth enough. It is about me. And when it becomes about me and you're attacking something, the funny thing is, not once in the first 26 minutes of this show, or about 20 minutes since you've been on and about 15 minutes since we started the conversation, has there been a true apology for realizing you have simply said, that's not what I meant? No offense.
We were having a conversation about the issue first.
No offense that no matter what somebody means, if there's damage behind something, the intention no longer matters if the product is creating something absolutely disgusting and dangerous, inflammatory, and can cause problems. Am I right?
I agree.
Okay.
And that was the reason that I'm having this conversation, because what I was about to say is that out of respect for what you have said, out of respect for you bringing me on the show, out of respect for both of you communicating where you're coming from, I will take that video down. That may not matter or not. I'm not doing it just to placate anyone. I'm doing it because we've actually had a conversation, and that's important to me, the perspective that you all are presenting. And I think it's important for me to say that I do apologize that there was damage done.
There is no damage done. You're still not getting it, Michelle. Your following isn't there. So you should apologize for the action, not the almost damage. You have to take self-responsibility for your actions. This is the same discussion we're having about race before. When we were talking about the issues in the community, you are still refusing to apologize for your actions. You are saying, sorry, it didn't go as intended. And I also think it's interesting that you still did not address Suni's point that you never even brought up in this video, that we have a main co-host that's black. You made it sound like we were a white supremacist station.
That was not my intention, and I'm not going to pretend like it was. So, I mean, we can agree to disagree about that.
It might not have been your intention.
I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to lie.
It might not have been your intention. Okay?
Yes.
But we have a platform. And maybe it's different for you because you don't really carry a presence on the internet where thousands of people watch you. So it may not have been your intention, but your video could cause damage to this platform. And if it did cause damage, how are you going to fix it? Because your video could have went viral. Then what?
And what I'm communicating, because I hear you, Suni, and I appreciate where both of you are coming from. What you all, our conversation brought those things up for me just the same, and just in the same type of vein.
So why couldn't you talk to us? Why couldn't you say like, yo, like this really bothered me. Like I feel like you guys aren't having sympathy. You went to social media.
And you did it without tagging me, which is sneaky as shit. You literally talked.
I wasn't trying, because that wasn't the point of my.
You tagged me on the kind. You tagged me on the kind post the day before. So why not tag me in the?
Because that was not the bulk of what I was sharing. I was sharing that these are the emotions that come up when these conversations are had. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, take it or leave it.
I don't think,
honestly.
I don't think.
I can't change the way that I felt in that moment. What I can do is recognize what you're saying and have this conversation and say, you know what, you all are right. I should have went about it a different way. I can say that, but I can't lie and say that there was some sinister plot when there was not.
There was. I think it was.
I'm not saying that you're saying that, but I'm just saying I can only tell you what was going through my mind at that moment, and that's the truth. But what I can also say is that I hear you, and you're absolutely right. There was a better way for me to go about it, and I can be adult enough and truthful enough to say that I do apologize, and that I should have went about it a different way, and I should have contacted you both directly and communicated. Where I'm coming from was that in my mind at that moment, it was not an attack on you particular. It was a conversation about the exhaustion that comes with having those conversations, period. It just unfortunately and negatively impacting for you all was that I had that it all came up at that point. But it was never, ever, 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 ever meant to try to bash you. That's the truth. That's true. Yeah. That's all I can say.
All right.
But thank you guys for having me.
No problem. And the last thing I do want to say, there was one comment that was incorrect in your statement about Breonna Taylor, which I think was, again, the reason that I believe as though somebody got in your head.
No, that did not happen.
I get it. So you must have looked something up, because you said you brought up Breonna Taylor again in that, and then we're going to wrap this portion of the show up. But you brought up something about how, why were we doing this? I wasn't equipped to have this conversation. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. And, we didn't even talk about the fact that Breonna Taylor, the arrest warrant was for the wrong house. That information was beyond old. It was proven as an incorrect statement. So this was, again, I think you went and did research and didn't actually properly research things, which made you believe that we were false and lying to you. That was an initial report that came out, and I wanted to very much clarify that with you, that was not true in any way, shape, or form. That was part of the initial response of why people started rioting in a city that didn't need to be rioted in, and that was part of it. So again, that was another bit of misinformation. I'm going to give Stu. Go ahead.
So I do want to address that, because from your perspective, I believe that week was, and this is me being honest, I believe that week was Breonna Taylor, some sort of anniversary, whether it was her birthday or the anniversary of her death or whatnot. So there was a lot in the news cycles about that. So to your point, no, I did not have a direct conversation with someone, but that probably did continue to bring stuff up about it. So that would make sense of what you're saying, that where it kept coming up more so than normal.
Got it. All right. Well, I'm done with it. Again, it sounds like you're taking down the video. Possibly,
I am going to take that down.
A public apology, of understanding of how sometimes when you say things, they have unintended consequences. That would be great as well. But again, that's totally up to you. It is a free country. Suni, do you have any final words on this topic?
No, I don't. I don't want her to think she came on here for like a beatdown session. It really wasn't. It's more of like, I guess, a little disappointed, because it was actually fun talking to you. So just watching that video was like kind of surreal. But you came on here, you gave an apology, you said you're going to take the video down. That's all we could ever ask for. And I would just give you the advice is to like really look into these cases and see what's what, because the media will sensationalize and drive home a false narrative every single moment they get, but it is our responsibility to find out the truth.
Yep.
I hear you, and I appreciate you. Suni, thank you so much for your words. Anthony, thank you so much. And I really do hope that you understand that the reason for me initially talking about where I was coming from was not to avoid responsibility, but to have I thought we were going to be talking about why first. That was why I didn't jump right into an apology, because I thought we were talking about the reason why first.
Okay. I'm going to suggest, since we're both in self-help field, that when you leave an apology, you leave the apology and then walk away and don't make any more excuses for this, that, or the other.
No, I'm not making an excuse. I'm not making an excuse. I stand by my apology. Okay. I'm trying to communicate. But this is not the platform for stretching out the conversation. So thank you so much.
Take it easy.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for coming on. Okay. I firmly believe that conversation is over. There's no more need to engage in anything, talk about it. I think it was important to have that on. And that's I like to have a little bit of fun. That's as serious as we're going to get. And now we're going to move forward. Again, I do accept an apology for that. I understand that she came on here and was willing to talk about it more and make a public discussion about it. So anyways, all right, guys. Thanks, Christine. Appreciate that. All right. So, gentlemen, Casey and Kevin, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Great conversation. It's good. Kevin.
It was nice to see like an actual coming together where an apology was the end result and everything like that. So, yeah, it was interesting.
All right. So do you want to start with something funny? The Jon Stewart video, pretty good stuff. You guys want to watch this real quick? And then I want to make sure that we that we end. So we're going to do Jon Stewart first. Then we're going to talk about the issue with, I want to talk a little bit about critical race theory, and then this cop that is actually suing the NBA, I believe, over essentially besmirching his name. And then definitely play some clips of Joey Basements, because holy God, that G7. How about that? All right. So let's go ahead and start with this right here. This is so good. Things that we've been saying for a year and getting censored for $1,000, Alex. Here we go.
No audio.
No audio.
Yeah,
no,
you pulled a Sunni. You pulled a Sunni.
Dang, why you got to bring me into it?
Did I really not do the audio? All right, hold on. Let me fix it. I got you. I really thought I shared the audio. That's super weird. All right, here we go. Coming in hot, ready.
Ownership, Russo.
Hey, that was 100% my bad right there. I screwed up. I will take the blame for it. I'm gonna try it again.
Did that to you. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like perhaps there's a chance that this was created in a lab? There's an investigation.
A chance.
Well, oh my God! Evidence. I'd love to hear.
There's a novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan novel respiratory coronavirus lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. That's just a little too weird, don't you think? And then they ask those scientists, they're like, how did this? So wait a minute, you work at the Wuhan respiratory coronavirus lab. How did this happen? And they're like, a pangolin kissed a turtle. And you're like, no, the name of your lab. If you look at the name, let me see your business card. Show me your business card. Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and then it sneezed into my chili and now we all have coronavirus. Like, come on. Okay.
Wait a second.
What about this? Listen to this.
Wait a second.
All right.
John.
Oh my God.
This is good.
There's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness near Hershey, Pennsylvania. What do you think happened? Like, oh, I don't know. Maybe a steam shovel mated with a cocoa bean. Or it's the chocolate factory. Maybe that's it.
That could be.
That's such good stuff.
You getting it?
I miss Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
I do too.
I don't know how it just turned into a pop lock contest. Hold on. All right. There's something weird going on in the background. All right. So that's brilliant. Jon Stewart, from what I mean, he's always been politically middle ground, but he was also very against Donald Trump. I think we all know this. So it's interesting that this is the stuff that a year ago we were getting destroyed for saying. We couldn't even have that kind of comedy. I don't know. He's being shared by a lot of conservative people right now. And he actually, before we go into talking about it, because I think this is important, later on in the interview, he said this. Not everybody that vote, and this is what needs to happen in this country for the American public to finally stop and get the shit off their head and start thinking again. Comedian talk show host said, "Not everybody that voted for Trump is a racist. I don't give an F what you of any of what you say to me. You can yell at me, you can tweet at me. They're not all racist, or they're not giving support to a racist system. I know a lot of first responders. I spent a lot of time in that community. A shitload of them voted for Trump. The same people that voted for Trump ran into burning buildings and saved whoever the fuck they could." No matter what color they were, no matter what religion they were, and they would do it again tomorrow. So if you want to sit down and tell me that these people are giving approval to an exploitative system, I say, okay, and would you put your life on the line for people who aren't like you because they did? And I get mad about stuff like that. That's huge.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Hollywood speaking.
I thought it was a very interesting dynamic because Stephen Colbert for the last year has basically been crapping all over. He's basically was put into that late night slot to start to kind of normalize the more leftist ideal, because it's famous that Johnny Carson, no one ever knew who he voted for. Jay Leno, David Letterman, they were very good at remaining apolitical, at least up until the very end. But Stephen Colbert was coming right off the back of a very leftist TV show on Comedy Central. And this dynamic that you see right there is, this is the apprentice having to talk to the master, to the teacher. That's who gave Stephen Colbert his spot. So Stephen Colbert can't just sit there and say this is a crazy right-wing nut job. It's Jon Stewart. It's the only guy that he has to. Everybody who knows their dynamic knows that, you know, if Jon Stewart is saying it and Stephen Colbert is sitting right there, like, this is when you have to take notice. So the fact that it's Jon Stewart on Stephen Colbert's show cannot be that can't be understated, because that's undeniable from Stephen Colbert. He can't really sit there and call it a conspiracy theory, because otherwise then, you know, that's Anakin saying, yeah, Obi-Wan was a giant conspiracy theory wielding nut job. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Suni, what do you think about the idea with, I mean, to me, like, people always ask us, more so you and I than anybody else right now, how do we actually create change? And we only have so much power because we're talking to our echo chamber. Is it going to be people like this that speak out and comedians that find a way to make light of this bullshit situation, like Bill Maher and him? What do you think?
I do. I think it's going to take people that have been in these industries, they're around politicians, they're around these upper echelon of people. It will take them coming out and saying, like, this is hogwash. And a lot of people are speaking out, but a lot of people are also scared. So I get it. And I'm excited for this, like, implosion that's happening in Hollywood, where a lot of celebrities are like, man, this is whack. I'm just about to spill the beans. And it was really interesting sitting there watching him just have to sit there and smile. Because he didn't cut him off not one time.
Right. Yeah. Casey disagrees. Casey, what do you think?
No, I'm going to tell you why. Celebrities don't run this country, guys. I don't care who you are. We all bash LeBron James for what? Speaking about his political opinion and his influence, right? So why is it accepted because they agreed with us?
What do you mean accepted? What do you mean?
Because now if you look at the left, they're going to try to silence everybody that is conservative, which is already happening. And so you're just going to cause more of a division when you actually just start drawing the line in the sand, like would happen in Hollywood. I'm gonna actually change your thought process on this one. I think I'm not saying they need to come out and say F Joe Biden. I think they need to come out and do what Bill Maher is saying about woke culture and what Jon Stewart is doing right here, which is agreeing that there is information that has been incorrectly given to the American people. I think that's the important side of it. So we're only strictly talking about COVID, but we're saying this is going to open up more change in the conservative world, which is weird to me.
Well, you also got to, sorry.
Our country's ran off of trends. Our countries ran off of what celebrities say. Unfortunately, like, we don't follow celebrities, but we're talking about the general public. They see their favorite comedian speaking out against this. This is going to pique their interest to make them want to go do some more research. Just like when people watch us, they see us talk about something that may not necessarily subscribe to their views. We have a ton of people that watch us and they're like, yo, I tried to fact check you and what you said wasn't exactly false. And they keep coming to learn more. I'm just saying this can be used as a tool to wake a lot of people up.
Is it though? That's what I'm wondering. Is the people that are already fans of Jon Stewart are already going to have most of this opinion?
Not necessarily. Jon Stewart was very well known for being just the guy who went against bullshit. That was his whole thing. I watched the Daily Show like almost every day because Jon Stewart would just talk, like when it was Obama and when it was Bush, it didn't matter. He just calls bullshit out, and he has the standing of being known for his political voice. And he's coming out and saying, look, you guys, there's a narrative that has been constructed and you're not even allowed to question it. And he's saying it on a very widely watched show. Denying the importance of getting this message into the culture is exactly why the culture has gone so far left. For so long, the conservative Republican Party has said, no, we'll win on policy. We'll do this. We're going to stay out of the culture. We're not going to try to have this cultural battle. And now look at where we're at. In June, they weren't putting Make America Great Again on the side of basketball courts. They were putting Black Lives Matter on the side of basketball courts. They're putting it in the movies. They're putting it in the TV shows. So the culture has been permeated. So there has to be some level of cultural pushback trying to at least get even if the idea that's accepted is don't even listen to celebrities no matter what, that's the best message there could possibly be. So why not push anything that would lead to that conclusion?
I get what you're saying. I do. I just don't see it as widespread as you guys are painting it as. I see there's more conservative viewers that actually do support Jon Stewart than you guys think. Like here in Utah, like Mormon country, a lot of the people I talk to, even though they are kind of in the middle but more right-leaning, they love Jon Stewart. I love Jon Stewart. I think he's hilarious. Now, his political views when he's bashing Trump, that's his own opinion, and that's fine. It didn't sway me with anything, but I think he's hilarious. Now, that's where I just don't see the group of people that were following him are going to be the people that voted for Biden that could switch or anything like that.
I'm just specifically talking about COVID. I don't think this is going to sway people to vote either way. I think it will pique their interest into just looking at what a lot of conservatives are saying. And it happens. It happens on Be the Change. It happens when we do our hot mic episodes. You have people that are staunch liberals that come in there to directly attack me. Sure. And over time, they're like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Now, am I going to sway them to vote for the opposite side? Probably not. But they're
not going to hate us. Right. And that's what I was getting at there. It's providing a different side of information to where we've been portrayed as sheep following Trump. We've been portrayed as ignorant. We've been portrayed as not doing our research and being crazy and not trusting science in terms of COVID. And maybe that'll come along a little bit more with some of the CRT stuff coming out, which we'll go into shortly. But I think that there's this mass, we're going to talk even about the NFL. I thought it was NBA. We're talking about this mass misinformation campaign that doesn't change how people vote, but it changes how people act. It changes how civil can be. And that's what I'm saying. You're right, Casey. I don't think people are obviously going to be like, shit, I should have voted for Trump. Like that's not it. I do think it's more of I don't hate that person for voting for Trump. Does that make sense?
Okay. No, and I can see that. That's understandable. So let me ask you this, and we'll bring up our favorite liberal, Jay. He denies a lot of the stuff, even though we have emails and evidence. We have receipts now proving. So how does a celebrity change that or make that conversation easier when there's actually email evidence that could be utilized?
You remember Daryl Davis's quote when he was on my show, and he says it all the time, that eventually there's, like when he talked about working with the KKK, you don't come in there and provide one bit of information on why you should no longer hate black people and why you should leave the KKK. You lead with something, you lead with love, you lead with a little bit of information, you lead with a little bit of more personality, it takes you 37 trips down the road until you finally reach a place where all of a sudden maybe you'll go, God, that's a lot of information. And finally you can, because you plant the seed in the cracks, and eventually that is how it creates a plant. And I'm not saying a plant to vote for the other person. I'm saying a plant that doesn't hate the other person. Makes sense?
And that's fair. I can see that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, Kevin, go.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and then the other goal that we're hoping for is that people realize that celebrities are airheads whose opinions should be completely ignored on political matters. The only way that happens is if the amount of conservative celebrities speaking out begins to approach the level of the liberal, or even just a little bit. So it gets to the point where people just say, well, I'm just sick and tired of hearing this. You want the people that hate the conservatives to say, I'm sick and tired of hearing celebrities' opinions when they hear the conservative voices. And then people like us have already realized that about the liberals. Like, I don't listen to any celebrity at this point. And that's kind of how you have to get there. But in order to get there, you still have to go through the rough patch of it increasing before it finally reaches its breaking point.
Suni, I want to go directly to you on this one, because I want to. You showed that video of LeBron talking about the book on Malcolm X, which I think I like the joke where, like, every time you see LeBron reading, he's only on the first 3 pages of the book. Like, he looks like he reads a lot. But that thing you showed, that interview with him asking about Malcolm X, it almost seemed as though he read Malcolm X at that point, because he had this look on his face, like, because even he used the quote, "All races need to work together for us to succeed," which a few months ago he was using the lingo, "I don't give a shit about white people." Yeah. And I think that was an interesting change. So again, is there a point where a LeBron James, although we think he is ignorant, and I never want him to come out and change who he is and be like, you know what, Trump 2024, that's not what I'm looking for. But what if he were to have a conversation with the American people and be like, I wasn't right on everything, and I think I need to take a step back, and you should too. Do you know how fucking big that would be? That'd be huge.
I say that all the time. I think it would be big. And I'd really, honestly, I'm 50-50 on it. I think maybe he did read and say, oh man, I can't even talk about this. Or maybe he was put on the spot and they asked him, and people are this is social media. This is the age of the internet. You say one thing wrong, people are going to go in on you. So maybe he played it safe on both parts, and maybe he did read it and he realized the error of his ways. I don't know. I just know that he's always on the first page. There's always a photo of him reading. And I'm not so sure he's ever read Malcolm X a day in his life, because, like you said, he believed after his pilgrimage, and this is a side of that most people won't speak about Malcolm X. He believed in working together because he saw all races of people working together. So he came back with that message. I think LeBron should dribble a ball, like Laura Ingraham said.
He didn't make it in the playoffs, so he has more time. Maybe he'll.
Well, you know what? You're right, Casey. He should actually pick up Malcolm X.
As the resident Laker fan.
You're a Laker fan? Oh gosh.
Yeah, I actually have a LeBron jersey in my closet that I don't put on anymore.
No.
I'm from LA. I can't help it. Okay. I think he did finish the book, because if you know the book, it starts off white people are the problem, and it ends at the place that we need to work together. So I mean, it makes sense that maybe, because he's probably a slow reader. College, to all my high school only grads, as a college attendee, we all know that you're slower readers than us.
You guys really think he read it? You really think he read it? Honestly,
I think somebody who did read it was like, LeBron, just so you know, that book ends up a lot differently than you think.
He might maybe listen to it on Audible. It's interesting. And if you talk about a misinformation campaign that is part of America's systemic racist history, and I know that Suni and I go back and forth on where systemic racism lies and where it is, but I've always been painted a picture that Malcolm X was a white-hating, horrific character that only like Black Panthers hold up on high esteem, because somehow the history books in our education left out the last year of his life, where he came to this great awakening and wanted to work more with white people, and then out of nowhere, holy crap, he was assassinated. What?
He left the Nation of Islam.
He had, by the Nation of Islam. He had the power of bringing the country together, and he was starting to do it, and he was killed for it, plain and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people ask me that. They're like, you follow Malcolm X? I'm like, yes. He was my Malcolm X was a visionary. He talked about the media long before there was a war with the media. He talked about seeing a LeBron James before there was ever a LeBron James. You have so many Black figures like Booker T. Washington. They're all visionaries. They all warned of us of this time. So I would just tell people to actually research who these people are, especially if they died in their prime.
Oh yeah.
And
All right.
Malcolm,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, he was one of the first ones to also say that the white college-educated liberal is the biggest enemy of the Black community moving forward. Right. And it's Shelby Steele definitely reiterates that quite a bit if you ever listen or read him too.
Very accurate. So we're going to go ahead because I think this will spin into a little bit of where CRT is going. It goes into, police on Black crime. But this is, I said NBA earlier, it's the NFL. So NFL is facing a lawsuit from a police officer over alleged implication that he criminally killed campaign honoree reports. Indianapolis police officer filed a lawsuit against the NFL on Monday. What is that? Yesterday, over a video and tweets that the league published last year claiming that a Black man he shot and killed died because of systemic racism. The NFL, as part of the league's Say Their Stories campaign, honored Drayshawn Reed in a tweet in December. The NFL said Reed was one of the many individuals being honored by players and coaches this season through the NFL's helmet decal program, which is, again, part of the conversation we were having with Michelle. Nobody deserves to die, but why are we saying that it's the cop's fault when he was doing something to protect himself and the community? So it said in the tweet from the NFL, which why was there a pride flag then? I don't know maybe they brought it back up. Got it. It's the picture. So anyways, say his name, Drayshawn Reed. Drayshawn is one of the many individuals being honored by players and coaches this season through the NFL's helmet decal program, is what was said. And the police department officer involved with DeJure Mercer, whatever, filed a lawsuit in the federal Southern District of Indiana court. Mercer's lawyer wrote in the complaint that the materials the league published that imply Mercer committed occupational misconduct and even criminal acts during the May 6th encounter with Reed, similar to which were inflicted upon George Floyd. I guess it was a similar case. The actual lawyer called the police officer a hero in a separate statement. He tracked down a very dangerous criminal wanted by the police who was a threat to the citizens of Indianapolis. He put his life on the line and was nearly killed in that effort. He was completely exonerated after an exhaustive investigation into the death of Mr. Reed. For NFL Enterprises to suggest that he was involved in police or racist misconduct is totally false, defamatory, and unacceptable. What happened here has nothing to do with racism. And I'll end the article there because you get the point. Why is it that nobody is understanding that nobody is saying, and Michelle was under the same impression, that we're saying these people deserve to die, but why are we bringing up all these people that were killed by police simply because they were killed by police? If we want people that are innocently killed, why don't we just name off the death count in Chicago in the last calendar year? Facts. These are people, there's innocent kids, there is these, for the most part, 98% of the names are not innocent. Do they deserve to die? No. Are they innocent? No. Thoughts?
There's power to be had. There's always power to be had. And this is going to dovetail directly into critical race theory, because this is a direct result of critical race theory's teachings and more or less what the goals of people who seek power are. Because that's all critical race theory at its very core is just a tool to be used by those who want power. Right. And you'll see it. And that's why you'll see this hatred of the cops from the left, because at the end of the day, they have a position of power. If you start pointing out that most deaths, the most common cause of death for a teenage white male is a car accident, but for a black male is homicide, all of a sudden that starts to ask different questions other than how bad is racism. But so long as racism provides this, so long as race is what creates this divide and not the values we hold, so long as it's race, there is power to be had in unifying, convincing people in the giant, whatever this surreal black monolith is that is somehow the democratic idea of the black community. If you can keep them together despite their differences, that offers a very strong, that's a very strong piece to be used in the power game, especially since there's no challenging of ideas coming with it.
Rusa, this was months ago, we did a show, and you were like, what does the word deserve actually mean? And it just means to be worthy of. This is when I feel like people have twisted the word to try to make somebody feel sympathy for them. Like, did I deserve that? Well, when you take police on a high-speed chase, which is what this young man did, run, do all this extra stuff, yes, he got what he deserved in that moment. Doesn't mean that he deserved to die. Absolutely not. But when you do that, there are consequences. Like, words, it's crazy. Words are mean now.
Yep. Well, that's how they get their power. And that was what the cultural Marxists discovered in 1950. If you want to dominate a culture, you have to dominate the words they use. You have to dominate the language. Language is the ultimate power, because language is the only thing that we have where we can actually express ideas concretely. This is being specific in language is how we actually communicate and function together. So if you can control how that operates, such as the definition of racism changing from just being about I don't like you because of your race to all of a sudden there's this whole thing about power dynamics and oppressor and oppressee, that's how you dominate a culture. And so they intentionally do these things in order to be able to manipulate later on and get to and seize this power from the average everyday person to be wielded against them.
Can I ask a question? Could this be, so you look at all major sports are directly funded predominantly by Chinese companies. We know that China has their hand in the NBA like nobody's business. We look at the timing of all this. The NFL season went through, obviously, the election. Anything painted as our country being white supremacist or racist was used as fuel for the fire against anybody that was running from a GOP position in that election. To me, there is the NFL is going to make money regardless. They actually lost money probably by doing some of the stuff that they did. The NBA lost money by doing some of the stuff they did. Do you think there is a weird back end, sinister tie-in from China because clearly they're the ones that definitely wanted the Democrats in power? Do you think there is a tie-in that made this BLM narrative get bigger in the NFL and in the NBA just for the purposes of election cycle?
Personally, I think that there's a little bit of your premise that is wrong. China doesn't want the Democrats to be in power. China also doesn't want the Republicans to be in power. They want chaos. They want an American society that is fighting amongst itself. We are at our weakest when we are against each other. And so they want the Republicans to win, Democrats to win. As long as those two remain in power and we remain at each other's throats, China is gaining in dominance. China is growing stronger. Russia knows this as well. It's why I always say it's so dumb to say China and Russia are picking sides. Yeah, they're picking their side, which means turning us against each other. And I think that it's a part of this because sports is one of my main. I have a love of sports, and I've been watching this devolution of the way sports kind of approaches the fans. And it's gone from we do this for the fans to we do this for ourselves, and the fans just happen to be along for the ride. Oh, it just so happens that the fans are the only reason we also get money. And money is that cash is king. So when it comes to China, they have to acquiesce to everything because China will just cut you off. But that's not going to happen in America. You don't have to worry about the American government. And these organizations have made the calculated risk that conservatives won't stop watching because they start pushing on politics. But if they don't change their shield to the rainbow LGBT flag, the left is going to stop watching. So they think that conservatives are the ones that are going to just keep watching no matter what. And I think that's what we're seeing now is that's kind of not really true. And in fact, there's a lot of money to be lost with that approach.
Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying. I think Rose said it right. I just do think that they want chaos, and I think they do see us weaker right now. They have to be licking their chops because the one big issue specifically Trump had was the trade war, which we were finally for once winning, and that obviously is a thing of the past. So
when we go and expand on this real quick though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if have you guys gone through the names and seen all the names that are in here?
No. I mean, I did in the back then.
They're not all people that were shot by cops.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, they're not.
There's some of them that are just in jail for claimed murder, and they're complaining about the same treatment that Cash is getting right now, which is weird. But the part that bothers me, I'm going through all these names, and this tells you how misguided this is. The one name that has most of the subscriptions that you will see the support for on the back of the helmet is Breonna Taylor.
Where's
They
Duncan
have
Lamb?
most of the support from the NFL. And if you were to look it up, that's where most of them are there. And now when you look at that, there's also a bunch of names that are missing. Dante Wright's not in this.
Is David Dorn in it? I assume not.
I don't remember seeing that name in here.
Yeah, he was.
David
For those
Dorn?
who don't know, he was the cop who was protecting the pawn shop in Minneapolis when he was
St.
shot.
Louis.
He was a retired cop.
St. Louis.
He is in here.
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah. So he is in there. The other kid, the young kid from Chicago, I can't remember his name right now. He's not in here. There's some other names that are not in here, which is kind of surprising to me because they caused an uproar in itself. But the point that I wanted to make is this just shows how misguided everything is. If you were to look at how many people have subscribed and said they are going to support Breonna Taylor, not even George Floyd has that many. And George Floyd is in this list. And so that points out this entire narrative is, yes, this is bought and paid for. This is an agenda. And people just recognize a name and they're running with it. And they're seeing Breonna Taylor in there and they're like, yeah, fine, I'm going to do that one. And so it's a media play. That's all it is.
Well, it seems that probably what's happened is the NFL players really don't actually do their own research, and so they just go with the name they recognize the most, because they'll jump on these political movements because you have to. If you don't, your career's over. Your PR is dead. So they just go with whatever name they know the most. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, doesn't matter. They're not going to talk about the actual shootings that you know. They're not going to talk about the black cops that were killed. They're not going to talk about the young innocent black kids that were killed as collateral damage in drive-bys in Chicago or St. Louis or what have you. So, because those don't matter to the media. They don't matter. So they're not talked about.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I know that now, because that was news to me. I actually still thought we were talking about previous stuff, like all the stuff that they did last year. So I guess the helmet, because they were allowing people to wear this stuff on their helmets last year, but I guess they've increased the program. So
Kind
good
of.
to know.
Yeah. Last year it was a little different, but this year it's a bigger push.
All right. So Kevin, on a different episode, I want a full breakdown of CRT, and I want to see if there's a good time to do
worries.
that. But we're gonna be done with this topic. I want to move over, and I'm really curious, probably most of all, on Sunni on this one. So Chrissy Tiegen apologized for her tweets. What she said, she apologized. She said, "Not a lot of people are lucky enough to be held accountable for their past bullshit in front of the entire world. I'm mortified and sad at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll. I am ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior. But that, I think there's more to it. That does not qualify. Okay, sorry, there's more. It's nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel. I have worked so hard to give you guys joy and beloved feeling of letting you down, nearly unbearable. Truly, these are not my only mistakes. It surely won't be my last, but as hard as I try. But God, I will try. I've tried to connect with Courtney privately, but since I publicly fueled all this, I also want to publicly apologize. I'm so sorry, Courtney. I hope you can heal now, knowing how deeply sorry I am, and I'm sorry to let you guys down. I'll forever work on being better than I was 10 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago." That's her apology. She's talking about Courtney. There was also the gentleman that wrote, and then we'll talk about it right after I read this. This was Michael Costello, that apparently had something with his name. He was a fashion designer, I believe, with his name spread out there that he said a racist epithet that he did not say. He said it was photoshopped, and it was proved to be photoshopped. She said to him, "Good luck with that. I'll laugh my ass off. Hope that story keeps your already dead career going." He says, "Please call me. This is my number. I am suffering from this more than you can imagine. So many people are attacking me over this. It's a fake story, but your comment is adding more fuel to the fire." She said, "Good. Racist people like you deserve to suffer and die. You might as well be dead. Your career is over. Just watch." "Chrissy, can I call you?" "No, I don't have anything to say to you. You'll get what's coming." He said, "Chrissy, I've never called anyone the N-word. These fake images were photoshopped from a former disgruntled employee." She said, "Good luck with that. Laugh my ass off. Hope that story keeps your already dead career going." That was another time she said it. So she said these horrific things. She told people to go kill themselves about 10 years ago. She then came out and said this and the apology. What are your guys' thoughts on her apology?
BS. I think she got caught and somebody called her out on it. I don't think she's sorry at all. I've read a lot of her deleted tweets, and it gets much more nastier and sinister than just you bullying somebody on the internet. So I'm just gonna say I think her apology is doo-doo. I think she got caught and she's trying to do some damage control. That's really it. Like, I don't, and especially her, like, pushing false narratives, man. Like, I think that's the wackest thing you can do. That's crazy. And she didn't even say sorry to him, did she?
I haven't seen that. I think that that's super weird too.
Okay, well, I think
she
it's crap.
claimed she was saying her apologies in private, and then so Courtney Stoddard is the one that you referenced as Courtney. She came out and said, "Well, I accept her apology and forgive her. I still haven't heard from her personally." So sounds like she's still bullshitting.
Yeah.
She always is. Like, Suni brought it up. And that's the part. Anytime you bring up her, I always am. Anybody brings her up, I'm like, oh, okay. What tweets did she delete now?
She's learning the hard way.
Over 4,000
I think about her.
tweets?
I think about her doing the F Goya stuff, and then 1.5 months later having Goya in one of her backgrounds of like her cooking. It's like she's one gigantic walking billboard of bullshit. With that said, I think it's important that we see somebody in this side take full responsibility, even if it's verbal and it's on the surface. Yeah. I think that so I originally was like, this is bullshit. She's full of shit. You know what? She probably is full of shit. But I think it's important to see that both sides are going to be dealing with this cancel culture issue. Kevin Hart just made a statement in the last 48 hours talking about, he's like, this is ruined comedy. This is ruined. Like, comedians can't get up and do their thing. We're afraid of what we said 10 years ago. He's talking about with the Oscars and how it's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, I think she's full of shit. I don't think she really cares. I think it's all about her. I honestly don't think it's about the money with her. I think it's her image. I think it's her pristine image, which everybody should know by now is not. But I think it's showing some important self-responsibility, and I'd be remiss to not say that there was something important to her, at least speaking up whether she was caught or not. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it's important that she did it. She could have done an apology that's simply like, I did not mean to hurt people. If it came off badly, that was my bad. She didn't. She went a little bit into detail. She did a little bit more. She's still probably full of shit, but that's just my take on it. Is I think that it is important.
Yeah. I think it's really important today to foster this idea that you can apologize and you can be forgiven. And if we're going to say our biggest problem with one of our biggest problems with cancel culture is there's no chance for redemption, then we have to be willing to offer the redemption, even if we know it's a bullshit apology. And first and foremost, we're not even the ones that get to have the option to accept it or not. The people she attacks are. But if we're going to judge celebrity apologies, as far as I'm concerned, apologizing is good enough because most people don't even get that far. And what we have to do is be able to say that apologizing is the first step towards redemption, and there is a road to redemption. Otherwise, this is never going to be solved. What's the point of apologizing? What's the point of acknowledging your wrongs if you know doing so will close the door entirely on ever having some kind of being able to redeem your character and who you are in front of people? I know she probably didn't write it.
there was a pretty bad run-on sentence in there. I might actually think she might have written it. Somebody else would not have it. Where I struggled to read, that was because it was a poorly written sentence. So maybe it is. And we're not giving celebrities attention. We're talking about the importance of apologies in media right now, whether or not this was valid and whether or not it actually has an effect. I do like his name, though.
Can I say something real quick?
Double D Training Bra. Yeah, go ahead.
Me and my husband go through this. All right. I don't have a hard time apologizing, but my apologies are like, okay, I'm sorry, and this is why I did it. And he's like, I don't really care why you did it. I just want to know that you're sorry. So a simple doing this publicly when it has absolutely nothing to do with the public even fuels me more to say that it's crap. Because we could have went to her family and been like, you know what, look, I'm sorry. And I'm working on A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I wanted you guys to know personally what I'm doing. But this is publicity. She's trying to cover her image.
Counterpoint, the guy that, again, she hasn't really made a statement about, talked about the fact that he was essentially blacklisted because she did threaten to like make sure he didn't work again in Hollywood. Just like we said earlier to Michelle, having a public apology in this case. Now, her actually following through with talking in person, I think it's most important. It sounds like she hasn't done that. But I think having a public apology because she did ruin people's livelihoods and careers, I think that there is a reason for that public apology, and I think it is important. Personally, that's how I feel about that.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
So when do you draw the line on keep accepting apology to try to lead by example versus cancel the other person? Because if it was a conservative to do that, they'd be canceled the next day.
Well, it's the same thing you got to apply in every time in your life. Like I have a personal standard. You get one apology. The second time, it's going to be iffy. But at 3 strikes, you're out. Like that.
This is like her dozen times.
Yeah,
No,
but this
I
is
don't
the
care.
first
I
time
don't give
she's
a crap about
truly
Chrissy.
been called out on it. Let's see what happens over the next several
Yeah.
months. Speaking of that, similar topic, CNN rehired Jeffrey Toobin, Captain Spank-A-Lot. After 7 months, they rehired her. Now, so is his bar that he just has to stay by is to make sure he doesn't jerk off on a Zoom? Is that literally his only bar to make sure?
I wish that was the standard I had to meet for my classes. My lord, jeez. As long as you guys can't see, we're good.
They put they made the female journalist do his interview of him coming back.
Yeah.
And she had to talk about these things. I'm just like, why couldn't you have a guy do it? Why couldn't you just let's let this be a guy moment? Yo, you were spanking on the camera, man. Why?
And she was feisty.
She was so uncomfortable though.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably because they were like, all right, so here's the deal. If you're going to come back, you're going to have to, first off, who were you spanking it to? Her? Okay. So she's going to be doing the interview. I've never even seen that woman before. She's probably like, this is my 13th interview ever. And here I am, talking to the guy that was like, oh, Sarah, whatever her name is. And it's like, she legit was like, why? It was so funny.
You see what you can get away with on Zoom calls. That's why. It's very easy. Come on.
And he didn't take ownership either. He legit
did it.
in that thing, he goes, I'll be honest, I really didn't think I was on, the thing. And not that he didn't think he was on the Zoom call. He didn't think he was on camera. I don't give a shit what your excuse is.
Why is it okay? No matter the context. Oh my God, I didn't know I was on camera. Because if it was off, it's okay to jerk it in the middle of a meeting? Okay.
Right.
Well,
And who does it in front of your computer?
when I do it, at least I know it's wrong. Right?
So, and CNN, of course, they'll give this man a job back after only 7 months of punishment. But if somebody goes on CNN and is like, you know what? I think Trump may have won the erection. Notice I said erection just for all those weird fact checkers out there. If they say that, they will never work for CNN ever in their life. Spanking it?
Oh, you can come back all you want.
There's no standards. There's no standards on the left at all. The standard is, are you going to say what we want you to say? Okay, come on in. This time, though, we've raised the desk a little bit. There should be enough room so that your hand's not hitting the top. Just, keep it off air if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of jerking off on camera, Casey, go ahead. Just kidding.
Turning into Conservengers already. Let's just so
It's like an Omegle pet.
Ridiculous about this whole scenario. The View is defending this guy, saying he did nothing wrong.
Hold up.
Are you telling me?
He isn't a bad person. He's good.
That's a sex offender. This is you have to just because COVID put us all at home, this is somebody that legit should be introducing himself to his neighbors in his neighborhood.
Right.
Like, hi, I'm Jeffrey Toobin. You've probably seen me on things like jerking off on Zoom. He is a predator.
Chat roulette superstar, Jeffrey Toobin.
Let's correlate this with someone that's on an opposing side. Like I was kind of posing with you guys with Chrissy Tiegen. Did Louis C.K. get any of this benefit of the doubt?
No.
And he actually did it, and the 2 women went along with it.
Comedian.
He paid them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He asked their permission.
And so, but he got canceled. He even lost everything he had.
And it's taken 4 years to come back. Soon, Louis C.K., you know who Louis C.K. is? So comedian that was on a meteoric rise, everybody knew who he was. And these girls claimed that a couple of years before he awkwardly, and he also has said some things to people and he ended up jerking off on them in a room. And they said that it was against their wishes, even though they accepted money from him, which again, does not make any of this right. Whatsoever. He's a creeper, but his career was done. He was done for
he's making a comeback.
He should have applied at CNN. That was stupid.
Yeah, no, seriously. You could have gotten a desk job at CNN. By the way, guys, I'm going to be right back. Don't ask me what I'm doing here.
Okay.
He's either taking a poop or he's doing a tubing.
So here's my counter to The View.
Yeah.
When Trump said grab him by the pussy, they had a whole issue. But a man like jerking off on the screen, which I don't listen, when your camera's on, there's green light, man. There's a red light. There's some sort of light to let you know that your camera is on. There's a blue light right here.
Your face is on the screen.
You know when your camera's on. Unless you're even, and you know what? Your computer doesn't even turn off when your camera's on. So he's full of crap. He's full of crap. So Trump can say grab him by the pussy now, right?
Well, you know what's funny? That quote is taken out of context so often. I'm going to go back to that. But I will talk about that because I think that's important. Can you imagine being in that Zoom meeting? Like, is that? I guarantee you, like, Tubin was probably wondering, why is everybody looking so close at their camera right now? Like,
is he massaging a Tic Tac? What's going on over there?
What's happening? But Trump's statement, I want that. I would pay not to see Tubin's junk. I would pay to see the reaction of everybody else in the room when they started realizing.
No,
it. So
you want to see Tubin's junk. We already know that you're already being accused.
What are you, Blake's grandma? Okay. So the quote from Trump years ago with Billy Bush, and which Billy Bush was canceled for like 15 years 10 years he was out of the industry. Trump said, he did not say, I go grab them by the P word. He never said that.
He said
and people think that he goes like, oh, he attacks women. He does that. He said, you could do whatever you want. He was using something called hyperbole. He was saying, you go up to him, kiss him on the face. You can grab him by the P word. He said he was using guy bullshit talk, saying that he's, whatever, he could do whatever he want. There was nothing said, I do this. There's a huge difference. Not that it's a great thing to say as the leader of the free world, but again, this is well before it. That's my 2 cents on that. So
I'm sorry. I have a phone call. I'll be right back.
Got it. That's her agent. All right. So now we're going to wrap this show up with, because we're going to, on Concert Vengers, I'm sure we're going to talk more about the G7 conference. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Project Veritas reporter. I encourage you guys to go check it out. Her stuff is just starting to drop. She's
Ivory Hecker.
What's that? Yeah. What's her name again?
Ivory Hecker.
Ivory Hecker. Check her out. She lost her job already, which we saw coming. We knew that was coming.
Yeah, everybody saw it.
They also released the video that she recorded of the CEOs and her conversation back before she was fired.
Project Veritas doing good work right now. James O'Keefe is killing it.
Which is funny, by the way. If you saw the Project Veritas showing that it's actually getting mass MSN coverage, the funny part was Insider. The headline, even though it did cover it, it referred to Project Veritas as far right something, far right media source or whatever it is. Project Veritas, although they are typically in support of the right, they're typically just they're showing misinformation by the media. I love that they considered that far right. So, yeah, Kevin, absolutely. Of course, you could plug Liberty Revolt. We'll do that, because I want to talk about some of the work we're going to be doing with you guys as well. Perfect. Jeez, all you got to do is just say it in the middle. Learn that, Kevin. I know you're young.
I got to figure it out.
You need to work on how to spin that in. But no, I appreciate you.
I got to work on it, man. It's one of my weaknesses. I've gotten to meet James O'Keefe on a couple occasions though, because I'm the Turning Point USA president at Colorado State, so I go to a lot of their events, and he is an absolutely wonderful man. Like what he is doing for investigative journalism, a lot of what he exposes seems to be supporting the right wing. It's because the left wing doesn't investigate itself ever, and there's very little right wing media sites doing investigative journalism, and he's putting it out no matter what's going on. This is from Fox Corp. This is from Fox News. Like this is Rupert Murdoch's company that this woman is reporting on, that James O'Keefe is reporting on, and he goes on Fox News. This guy, all he wants to do is get the truth out there, and I absolutely love him so much.
Right.
Man crush.
Man crush. Love it. All right, so let's go ahead. This is one of a million absolute efferys from this. I'm just going to play this clip, and I believe I hit the sound. If I didn't, go ahead and yell at me. This is the liberal reporter, who they've confirmed as liberal reporter, gives a super easy question. I want to do, Casey, I might have you help me with this. His awkward pauses, I think we need as a clip. Like where he has like 4 seconds of, I want that. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and play this, guys. It's a few minutes long. I'm going to try to play it. Facebook has sucked lately on this
Donald
stuff.
Trump has over the Republican
Maybe if
Party
you didn't have a Mac.
and the rise of nationalist figures like him around the world. What do you say to those allies? What have you been saying to them at these meetings about how the next president of the United States can keep any promises you make?
What I'm saying is to them is watch me. I mean, I'm not saying any of them, quite frankly. What I'm saying is to them is watch me. I mean, I'm not saying any of them, quite frankly. I'm just going out. People, as I've said before, don't doubt that I mean what I say, and they believe that I keep my commitments when I say it. I'm not making any promises to anyone that I don't believe are overwhelmingly likely to be kept. I think that we're at a moment where, I mean, let me put it this way. You may have had a different view, but I think an awful lot of people thought that my showing up at the G7 would not produce any kind of enthusiasm about American leadership and about where America was. I would suggest that it didn't turn out that way. I would suggest that there is the leaders I'm dealing with in NATO and the G7 are leaders who know our recent history, know generically the character of the American people, and know where the vast center of the public stands. Not Democrat, Republican, but who we are. We're a decent, honorable nation. And I think that they have seen things happen as we have that shocked them and surprised them that could have happened. But I think they, like I do, believe the American people are not going to sustain that kind of behavior. And so I don't want to get into these statistics because, that old phrase is Disraeli's, there's three kinds of lies, damn lies, and statistics. But
it's not really
I think it's appropriate to say that the Republican Party is vastly diminished in numbers. The leadership of the Republican Party is...
I think this is an important part. In what point did there need to be anything about the Republican Party? Do any of you guys actually even remember the question? I know I muted you guys. Do you remember the question?
I have no idea what question he's answering. He's like,
I don't either. No idea. Anybody?
It makes perfect sense if he can only remember the last 3.5 seconds of what he said. Then it makes perfect sense. So now he brings up the Republican Party for what reason? I don't know. Here we go. Okay.
Fractured. And the Trump wing of the party is the bulk of the party, but it makes up a significant minority of the American people. And we'll see. We'll see. I believe that by us standing up and saying what we believe to be the case, not engaging in the overwhelming hyperbole that gets engaged in by so many today, that I guess that old expression, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. When I said I was going to deal with beating the virus, I was going to focus on that, and I was going to get millions of shots in people's arms. It wasn't me. I just knew the American people. I knew the kind of help I'd get from the Defense Department, from police departments, from the hospitals, from retired docs. I just knew. And look how rapidly we moved. Now we have a group of people who were everything from the political rejection of the notion of taking a vaccine to people who are simply afraid of a needle and everything in between. And we have a way to go. But I never doubted that we would be able to support we got and get so many millions of people step up and get vaccinated.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.
Actually, I don't know what I heard.
Hold on. I don't know what that was. I really don't. That's unreal.
I feel like the reporter could have asked, "What did you eat for breakfast this morning?" and that conversation would have ended up the same.
Yes. The thing that's also ridiculous is that he started it off, which already set it off on the wrong path. I follow through all my commitments. Hey, Joe Biden, you ran on, hey, I'm going to forgive minimum of $10,000 in student loan debt. And now you've reneged on that. You're like, nope, we're not doing it. Sorry.
Good.
And then he goes in and, I got 1 million shots into people's arms. No, that was Trump's plan. You didn't do anything.
And honestly, part of the reason I wish Trump was in is I think he would have provided it and then given more of a active choice. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe he's the same in the pockets of big pharma. I don't know, but we're not going to have a chance to know because right now, Joey B is balls deep in China, big pharma, etc., and now has no ability to answer anything. Did you guys see the note card?
With the Trump insults.
Yeah. So there was a flashcard that reminds him it was Department of Justice talking points. It says, this is his note card, and they have a screen of it. Trump abused power. Trump DOJ out of control. Now we have to clean it up. I've made it clear this Department of Justice will reflect my values and principal priorities, not Donald Trump's. This includes something I see equalities, voting, I'm sure there's voting rights, etc. That's all I see. It's mind-boggling. So he is speaking on a global summit and just there to say we're going to do everything that Trump didn't do. That's his presidency in a nutshell. And somebody overheard, allegedly, did you guys hear this? Allegedly overheard, I think it was Macron. Yeah, and I got to say,
it was Trudeau.
Trudeau. Allegedly heard Trudeau say that Kamala will be in power by the end of 2022.
Yeah.
I think that's overshooting the runway, personally.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to make it that far.
Like,
I had no idea about this card. I just pulled up pictures of it, and I'm like,
it's hilarious.
Why isn't this everywhere? Why is the left not answering, hey, why do you have to have a card to bash the prior president?
Because if they were honest in their reporting about Joe Biden, there are millions upon millions of people who hung out in the middle and swung Biden's way based on the promise that he would just be a return to normal. There's millions of those people that would then say, wait a second, this is who you told us that Trump was worse than this guy. But this guy he's a laughingstock. The guy, he gets asked about Vladimir Putin and then takes 15 seconds to think about what he's going to say in the middle of saying the guy he's going senile before our very eyes. I personally feel really bad for a lot of my friends that are still in the military because this guy is in charge of them. This man, who is probably the most easily manipulated human being in the White House right now, purely by dint of his age and senility, is going to be in charge of dictating where and when they fight their next war. And this guy does not have the capacity to make that decision on his own in any way, shape, or form.
So the people with the most foreign interests are going to be able to make that decision, which is horrific.
Yep.
We didn't vote for the Pelosi's, the Schumers, the et ceteras of the world to make global decisions. The Obama. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, Fauci. I just got word Fauci is on Fallon right now.
Of course he is.
Part of his mass misdirection campaign.
God, the Faucists are like being exposed right now. What I'm really happy about over the last year, being at heart an anarcho-capitalist, is just how many people's eyes are being opened to just how crap the government is, how absolutely terrible the government is, and how much their trusted mainstream media sources feed into this monster. And you're seeing it across the board as their ratings are declining and people are leaving alternative media. The elite, the powerful elite in this country, both the financially and the politically powerful, those two things use each other in our country. They're on the precipice of losing their power, and they're using every last-ditch effort. They got close in 2008. Occupy Wall Street got close to making people realize that, hey, our enemies, we're left and right. Our enemy is up here, right? We have a shared common enemy up here that is trying to make sure that we stay at each other's throats so that their power is never endangered. And what's ended up happening is we are once again at that precipice, because that's when critical race theory took off right after that, and I'm not going to go into that. But they're continuing to use these devices to keep this division going and make sure that people on the left and right never realize, hey, wait a second. As long as we're not a member of these super wealthy elites, we pretty much have the same problems in our lives that we can help each other handle. And if we stick together and try to limit what they're doing to us, we're going to be able to be successful. But until we can challenge their power, we're not going to have any success. And that's the problem. They need to make sure this division still exists so that we can't come to that conclusion and start to take measures to take their power away. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, that's, I mean, it's well said. And I don't know. I think it's a scary state if somehow people don't awaken like you're talking about. And I think the V word. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's put it this way. Homeschooling has gone up to 11% of the country. That is unreal. So
what is it up from? What was the original number?
3%. It's up from 3% pre-COVID to 11% post. And that's not counting the kids that are just home because their school's shut down. People are realizing.
Wow. And then you've got it's just this odd. We use the word hypocrisy, double standard. We talked about Chrissy Tiegen, and now, I mean, and we're going to wrap it up very, very soon. Because I think if you guys want to see more of ridiculous Biden clips and more comedy, Concert Ventures tomorrow night, we're going to go. There's so many, like the one of him walking away being like, watch me. It's like, what is happening? This dude has lost. He doesn't remember people's names in meetings. He reintroduced somebody. He's getting made fun of by prime ministers of other damn countries. It's like, I get it. You didn't like Trump because of a 38-second soundbite out of a 1.5 hour solid speech. You do whatever you want, but this guy is no longer he hasn't been for a long time able to hold the position. Meanwhile, you have people on the Democrat side of government like Chuck Schumer referring to developmentally disabled children as a term that probably would have gotten Trump impeached. He called them the R word, which it's like, and then it's just, he offered an apology. It's fine.
It's unreal that but if you look at it from the position of logical consistency, where you expect people to remain, if I say I am this, therefore my actions will reflect that. If I say I'm fighting for the truth, therefore my actions will reflect it. If you look at it from that lens, none of this is going to make sense. It's going to be constant hypocrisy. But if you look at it from the lens of, does this allow them to control the narrative and maintain power? The answer is yes. As long as it allows them to maintain the control over that narrative, that's the lens you have to look at it from. The lens of who is keeping power, who is keeping dominion by reporting it in this way, by focusing on this. And so if you look at it through that lens, it makes way too much sense. And that's the scariest part.
Yeah. And like Hunter and his racist tech thing. So like if you guys, and this is it. If you saw last week, Suni and I didn't fully agree on that. And I thought about it and I saw where she was coming from. I thought about it some more. Like Suni was like, what's the difference between Eminem saying it? And I wish Suni was on because I was going to talk to her about it later. So might as well talk about it here. But Suni was saying, what's the difference between Eminem saying the N-word and Hunter Biden? And I was like, well, he's the leader of the free world's son. And she's like, yeah, but it still doesn't make it right. And I'm like, I agree with you. No time does it right. I don't think it should be used by black people, white people, Asian people. I don't think it matters. I don't think it should be said. But in a lot of work that people do on how to have conversations with people, there's something called a come from. And I just think that Eminem had a better come from. If you come from a different place, like if I'm going to have a conversation with Casey, I'm going to be like, bro, you know how much I love you. We got to work on this stuff. He knows my come from is from a place of heart. Whereas if he doesn't really know me, or he knows me to be somebody that like isn't altruistic in my actions and has issues, and I come up and be like, Casey, I'm not going to lie. I can even say it nicer. Be like, Casey, I really think you should work on this. The words don't matter. The come from does. And I think Eminem did have a different come from. Now, again, I don't think anybody should use the word, but I think that's important to think about when we're having these discussions and when we're talking about the Hunter Bidens and the Eminems and all the different random bullshit of people. Be like Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer didn't have a come from on that. He came from a place where he's like, you never are allowed to say anything wrong. It has to be perfect. It has to be politically correct. R word.
Yeah.
His come from sucks.
Real quick, Eminem I'm pretty sure Eminem's never used the N-word. Wasn't aware that he had. Not necessarily in any of his music. I don't think he ever has. I think he's made it a point that he doesn't. But that was just either way. Your point still stands. No, either way, your point still stands. But I'm pretty sure he's made it a point to never use it.
Wow! You're right. It says we have a rare audio capture of Eminem saying the N-word of one of his old live concerts. Interesting. It's like a surface video. Oh, I'm gonna get Suni for misinformation. Suni, next time I see you, I got you. Misinformation. He apparently attempted not to. I'm sure when he was with his crew,
makes it a point.
Yeah,
probably. He grew up in 8 Mile, Detroit, so I'm sure he said it before. But I was under the impression he has made it a point never to use it in his music. He thinks that it is not literate. I don't know if you're aware of his backstory. That dude literally, he would read the dictionary before going to bed. Hence why he has the lyrical abilities he does. But I digress. I apologize.
No, you're right. No, I know you provide information. It said, what song did Eminem say the N-word? Eminem has only used the N-word in freestyles that washed up from 1988 to 1989. He's never used it in any actual songs. He says it in Remember Me in the second part of the chorus, I guess. So, you know what? We just corrected ourselves right here, and we figured out that was wrong. And that means Suni needs to come up with a different version. And we've now learned that no matter what, Hunter Biden is a Parmesan cheese sniffing racist asshole, and he is the leader of the free world.
I'm glad I could help you in your argument there. That's what I'm here for.
Love it. All right, Casey, you go ahead and do final words. I'll fill in for Suni, and then Kevin, you and I will finish it up.
Perfect.
Mine's just be a quick one. Join us for Concert Avengers tomorrow. It'll be fun. We got plenty of content. I'm excited for the show tomorrow.
Eric, need some giggles, grab some edibles. Stand by for Concert Avengers. That's funny. Yes. All right, I'll be Suni. Hold on. You ready? Man, it's just like we've been saying, it's just we gotta not have the bullshit, it's like what Cash used to say, like we just gotta look at this shit. You know what I mean? We'll see you tomorrow. That was the best I had. I didn't have anything to say, so I'm gonna start doing Suni exits. Kevin, go ahead and talk a little bit about what you guys do at Liberty Revolt on our way out.
Yeah, so I'm a member of the Liberty Revolt. We are a new up and coming.
Well, we have run out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just kidding. Go ahead. My
bad. So yeah, we're just this new up and coming, conservative leaning, but just truth seeking media organization. We're trying to put out consistent content here, news articles, everything, anything you can imagine. We're just trying to build ourselves up from the foundation of honest reporting, honest interpretations, and opinions that you can come to get a good analysis from. Obviously, opinions are going to be subjective, but we're hoping that we're able to add an additional voice that helps you in your life to seek in your own quest to seek the truth. So go ahead, head over to Liberty Revolt Media on Facebook. We have a website and a Twitter. The website is currently undergoing reconstruction, but it would be at Liberty Revolt as well. I'll let you know if that ever gets redesigned, but hopefully soon here. And listen for us on the radio. Bucky Dillon does a show usually on Wednesdays between 11 and 1, where he'll interview really great people, and we're just out here trying to add our voice to the mix here.
So they're reconstructing the website like Chrissy Tiegen is doing to her career. Got it. All right.
Hopefully more effectively, but
with more heart, more genuine.
More authenticity involved there, and a lot less bullshit. Hopefully.
and Liberty Revolt Media, as you guys have seen them, they've been on this show, or I think Concert Avengers. They're going to be on more stuff coming up. They because of their radio show, they have access to great guests. We had Joe Jorgensen that we played on BetheChange, and we're going to continue to make sure whatever kind of guests they have on radio, we bring them on to Liberty Revolt and also have it streamed to BetheChange as well. Hopefully I can be a part of them. Casey can be a part of them, and we'll work with that crew to make sure we're getting some really cool interviews. So I actually realized that I made a mistake in the Suni thing. So I forgot I need to actually go like this. Hold on. Ready? Somebody say it. Somebody tell me I'm muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
My bad. So what I was saying was, a lot of this stuff, man, we just got to... All right, that was better.
I was just going to see how long you would go before I'd say it.
I was waiting on it too. I was like, I assume someone's supposed to say it, but
I was just trying to see if he would just keep going forever.
I love that we're picking on her and she's not here. All right, guys.
thank
so
you
we're
so
gonna
much
wrap.
for having me.
No, thank you, Kevin. You guys, you're going to be on more, obviously, and we're going to talk whenever we have the right guest, when we have the right mix. We're going to make sure that we have you on. Kevin, you are excellent, not just because you have a fantastic last name and that you have another beard like mine. You were great to have on, and thank you for correcting me. Anytime that I'm wrong, I love it because that means I'm one step closer to being right. I'm going to end it just like that. So, you guys, we're going to do, Nikki wanted us to do a little Unite, Don't Fight, so let's do it. So, Kevin, if you don't know the chant or the cheer, I feel I sound like I'm a drill captain. Casey was like, ooh, what are we doing? At the end, I just want you to go, woo! Okay?
All right.
Let me make sure I've got things pulled up to end the show so I don't awkwardly stare at the camera. All right, ready? Casey, you and I could do the beginning part. Unite, don't fight. Be a street light. Are you muted? Jesus Christ. Soon. Oh,
No.
Why aren't you? You can say it out loud. We can
say it at the same time as you.
two awkward ass white guys trying to be in sync. It's how we roll. Ready? Unite.
Exactly.
Okay, one, 2, 3. Unite, don't fight. Be a street light, because only you can be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, remember to pray, America. Kevin.
Yeah.
The other one guy.
Yeah, brother.
I was like, what?